rough. I've just been busy with other stuff and work, but I'm trying to catch up now.
Yeah,
Do
same.
the microphone in through or
Oh, sure. Pre-sales example I did.
no. It was close. It was close. Yeah.
I'm gonna do a similar version, but with Claude Code, so you
Okay.
guys can kind of see the difference.
Okay. I need to figure out how to change the notifications. I got about 12 notifications for this event on my drive here.
12? Why?
Apple Calendar going, hey, you're 18 minutes away. Hey, it's 12 guys. It's like,
The metal parts are all a kit, and then we just kind of turn the wood parts.
You sneak past you, Lawrence?
you do this by hand. Well, the Robo Dev AI, whatever it is Claude. It just straight up is Claude.
Have you heard of Claude Code?
I haven't heard many AI
At all, right? So like,
I know Claude is Anthropic, right?
yeah.
I know Anthropic has taken the lead in everything.
Yeah, dude, I'll show that. They're releasing almost something every day.
Yeah.
Like for the past 2 months, I'll show that off. They made a desktop app. They made a desktop app so you can access it on your desktop. So what's cool is they can access like your files, your email. You can really do a lot with it. And then it's connected with like the Salesforce MCP that they have. The Salesforce MCP.
Oh, right.
Connected to
So I hear MCP and I immediately think of Tron.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, no.
Yeah, I do too. I have to.
Not that
What's
MCP.
Tron?
Different.
It's from the movie Tron. It was the kind of.
Tron.
Yeah. You know, the villain.
I didn't.
So my
No, we're gonna have to fix.
8 parts, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
master control.
Yes. That is what I think of every time I hear.
Yep.
Yeah, we have an MCP. I'm like, yo, what
Is
now?
that what they named it after?
I'm pretty sure that was intentional. Somebody.
Oh yeah.
That's too good.
No. So long ago in a past life, I was in biomechanics and did research into exoskeletons and stuff like that. There is a company called Cyberdyne Systems.
That's the Terminator. Yeah.
Their products are HAL 3 and HAL 5.
Halo what?
HAL.
Oh, HAL. Okay.
Yeah.
HAL 2000, HAL 9000.
For
Yeah.
hybrid assisted lift.
Okay.
So HAL,
Respectable.
created by Cyberdyne Systems.
Nice. That's legend.
Yeah, they were it's a Japanese company, but they I don't know if it's changed now, but they said we are never selling in U.S. because we are not dealing with the FDA.
Thank you, sir.
What is your drink?
Huh? Top shelf margarita. And I can do drinks for everybody that's here right now. And then everybody does the drinks there on their own after this. All right. Okay, test. Okay, here's me talking. Hey, Sally.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. All right, thank you. Perfect. I hadn't heard anybody talk on the line yet. Okay, I'm going to give you moderator also. Excellent.
Hello everyone. Hi.
Hi, guys.
You want me to bring some appetizer like nachos for you or quesadillas with vegetables? You want to wait a little bit?
Let's start at least two. So let's do a bowl of queso and the botana sampler plate. Let's do two of those. Okay. Do you need my card to get the tab started or anything? Okay. Lauren, oh yeah, there you are. Okay, gotcha. Hey guys, hey. Can you tell me your name again? I just
Raghuram.
Raghuram?
Yeah.
Raghuram. Okay, got it. Hey, how's it going?
How are you? Good, brother. Welcome. But since you were at the Frisco one, remember when I did the pre-sales app and saw so I'll do that same app with Claude. So we'll see how different really the tools are. You'll have the advantage.
Hi there. I'm Paul.
Pratik.
Pratik? Okay, what's your last name, Pratik?
Mazumdar.
Mazumdar. Okay. And this is Saman. That's Jason.
Yeah, awesome.
Let's see if they join.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Nowadays, what is happening? We just send it in our team.
Yeah.
They forget. So I created a meeting invite and gave them. Let's see if they register.
Oh, thank you for doing that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, let's see.
Cool. Cool to get people out. Build some momentum for other events.
Yes.
Nancy, haven't seen you in forever. How are you?
Hey.
Good to see you.
Hi, Nancy. Good to see you.
How's life?
Good. I was traveling to India, so I was there for a long time.
Nice.
So,
When did you get back?
I came back February, mid-February.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then catching up on it. How's your work going?
It's going good. Yeah, it's been busy, but good.
Hi there.
Yeah,
Hey, good, good. Will you tell me your last name again?
They
Okay.
make networking hardware. Yeah, I've used Claude. We'll have to. Have you used Claude before?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
Little bit. But mostly sticking to ChatGPT.
Okay. Well, we'll explore it all.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
Gotcha. Thank you. Okay. Hey guys, can I get your names so I can get you checked in?
Sir, Russ Benhart.
Nice, Russ.
Russ.
Good to meet you.
Amesh.
Ramesh. Thank you. Cool. I haven't seen you here before, I don't think, but.
It's been a couple of years since I've been involved. Back when you guys were UTD Dallas.
Okay.
I think the last one I went to, I didn't know you canceled it. And I sat in some lecture hall.
Oh no.
Like,
During the tornado?
Yes.
That sucks. Yeah, two people. There's one woman that comes here that will not let me live that down. I sent out on every channel that I could that they closed the UTD campus, so I didn't go.
I missed it.
Oh, hey, Samarth.
Hey, Paul. Hey, everyone.
Hi, Paul.
All right. Let's see. Hey, Kara, how are you? It's Kara, right?
Yes. I have a little request. When you take a picture, please do not include me for now.
Okay.
I joined a company and then they are something.
JP Morgan was like that for me. I had to stop doing user groups for a while because
I know. I didn't know they are going to be like this. I mean, they asked me if I'm active on social media or something, but I'm not. So I don't count LinkedIn as a, that's social. It's all professional.
I know.
And
It's crazy. Let me get set up here. I'll come catch up with you in a second. Yeah. But yeah.
It's been 3 days.
Okay. I'm going to put on camera, but hopefully you're okay with the video recording. Yeah, I won't tag you or anything.
Camera is upside down, Paul.
Yeah, the button usually fixes that. There we go. All right.
Now it is correct.
Hopefully it stays. And the volume is on maximum, so you may have to yell so that I can hear you.
You remember I asked you and then I did explore. I did for it. Be able to use it. Yeah, but it didn't let me use it regularly unless I paid for it.
Yeah, we'll talk about quantum.
Paul, if you are around, we don't hear the room.
Yep. No, I'm sorry. I muted it just for a
Okay.
second.
Yeah, it's okay. Just I wanted
There's
to double
Sunil. Gotcha. Sorry, just trying to run around and check people in and
Yeah, no,
get
take
food
your
taken
time.
care of and stuff.
Just wanted to make sure we are here, so you are not talking and we are missing
Okay.
out fun.
So the water and the appetizers that come out are on me. If you want to do anything else, just make sure you give them their card to open up a tab. So still running on shoestring budget. Hey, Priyanka, how are you? I was wondering if you were going to make it.
Yeah. Thought it's been long since.
Yeah, you've been gone for a while.
Yeah.
Are you doing okay? Are you employed?
Yeah.
Okay, good. It was a long time, so cool.
This is something fun. Trying to help me with the AI
Oh, yeah.
little things on my Salesforce or DTM stuff.
That's cool. You got it to do text. I can never get the image stuff to do text right.
Oh, what was it found? That you download this file in a text format. These are actual data points.
Okay.
And then that's what makes the text so good. And
Okay.
This is through the new OpenAI has a caricature builder.
Okay, yeah.
And so when I go build an image, that I said, these were like duplicated, CBAP. And so I said, hey, change one of those to this.
Okay.
Make this grin less, like this, like wow. And so minimize the grin. So it just swapped that.
Cool. Yeah, I use Gemini and OpenArt. So they've done okay for me. I just have to sit down and take some time with them. Sally's much better at the AI art than I am. Oh, hey guys.
Hey Paul, good seeing you.
You too. You too. Tell me last name again.
Jitendra Hansalia.
Okay, and then Swati. Great, great, cool. We'll get started here in like a couple minutes. So I think everybody on the video call is.
I know you are like that over there.
All right, we'll get started here in about 30 seconds. I want to go slap everybody around and. For sure, Sanjeev was registered. There he is. Great. What's that?
Would you be able to get them to turn down the
I'm going to try, yeah. All right, I'm going to go get them to turn down the music, and then we're going to get started. The water and everything is on my tab, but if you want anything, food or anything extra, the card. Hey there.
Excuse me.
Hi, here for the meeting, or are you looking for the bathrooms?
Nope. Coming on his invitation.
Okay.
Meeting, yes.
Gotcha. Did you register?
I did not.
You did not. Okay.
did not
Make
know I
him
needed to
register.
register.
Yeah,
All right.
please. It helps me do the reimbursement part. So.
All right. Let me order 2 more platters.
Yes. And can we get the music turned down in here? Thank you.
Whenever there are actual distractions, I ignore them. So it creates a type of white noise.
So I was able to do that.
Oh, you
I
did?
changed it. Yep.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem.
Thanks for bringing guests, John. Sorry, it helps with the finances. If you want extra food, you can get it, but I like to make sure we have appetizers and water. And this place is great. If you like Mexican. For what? The link for him to register? Oh, Trailblazer community groups or .com, and then find Dallas. I can shoot you. The link should be in our chat group in LinkedIn. You should be able to scroll up to a post. Okay, I think that's as low as they're going to go. All right, guys, we're going to get started. Thank you for coming. Hi. What did we see today on Sally? Are you still there? Everybody engaged online?
Yeah. Everyone is quiet.
He's turning it down right now, so I don't know if it goes any lower than that. They're kind of, here we go. Excellent, right? Perfect timing. So these guys are very nice that let us come here without having a major budget or doing the full room reservation. So I'd love it if you guys ordered stuff on your own. So we ticked up the thing. And if you're registered, that helps me reimburse for what we spend on the early drinks and the appetizers. So that's all I ask. Thank you guys for coming out. Everybody knows Saman? Saman is the brains behind this operation. So Saman, would you like to take? I don't have any other announcements. TDX is coming up. There should be a lot of announcements at TDX. And I'm going to try and go, we can get 5 minutes to a meeting without saying the I word. So I just want to go for an hour without saying AI, but it's not going to happen. Yeah. So here we are. Yeah, exactly. All right, well, cool. Well, Saman, would you please take over? I'm going to try and collect your name, sir, so I can check you in.
I'm Anton Buzak.
Okay, great. Thank you. You have your microphone on? Not yet?
You are muted, Saman, if you're...
There you go. You're up.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yep, they can hear you.
All right, let's go.
I can hear them through my ear, so I'll
cool.
interrupt you with stuff.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your week to join us today, whether it's in person here or virtually. Appreciate you guys. This could be time that you're spending with your friends or your family or just watching some TV. But you guys are here to learn something new, so kudos to you guys. So I'm going to be talking a lot more than just about Agent Teams. Agent Teams is just one feature that Claude has that was released literally just a month and a half ago. From talking to you guys before the session, a lot of folks are kind of at varying levels of knowledge about Claude, Anthropic in general, or just coding tools. So I want to cover a couple different topics. But then we'll jump into some demos and we'll kind of see a hands-on exploration of using the coding agent, Claude Code. And you guys, if you've used other tools like Copilot, Agentforce Vibes, Codex's tool as well, you can kind of compare for yourselves and see what some of those differences are.
You guys okay? There's somebody talking on the line.
Yeah, I'm trying to mute them, but
Okay, I think that's Sarath. He's kind of my boss, so we'll be nice to him.
And at any point, I want this to be conversational as much as it can, so don't wait till the end to ask your questions. Just throw your hand up if you're in person. I'll stop and acknowledge your question, repeat it for the folks online. And if you're online, drop your question in the chat, and Sally will try to answer it, or she can pass it on to us as well. Cool. All right. Okay, so here's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to be recapping Claude's year in review. They have kind of notoriously been dropping features almost every single day on the various different tools that they have. So I wanted to recap some of the latest things that they've done. And then we'll talk about coding agents, make sure everyone's on the same page and we know what the difference is between using a coding agent versus using some web UI like ChatGPT or Claude.ai's chat feature on the web. And then we'll start doing some demos. So we'll talk about using sub-agents versus agent teams, what those are, and we'll build a little mini Salesforce pre-sales app to demonstrate all those different ideas. And we'll build some skill files, we'll spin up agent teams, we'll try to get our hands dirty as much as we can. Okay, so first thing I wanted to highlight were the different models that are currently available from Anthropic. All those models are prefixed with the word Claude. So the first model is the Claude Opus 4.6. That was released literally just February 7th, a little over a month and a half ago. That's their frontier model. Yeah. Me?
Oh. Yeah, you may just have to speak up a little bit.
A little more?
He's got to stay on the computer to get on the monitor, so.
Can you give us a more presentation voice?
You guys couldn't hear me very well?
I can hear you just fine.
What about you guys in the back?
Yeah,
really? Okay, sorry guys. Okay, how about now? Is that better?
Yeah, you may have to move. If you have trouble hearing, come up to these front seats here. That'd be great.
Sorry guys, I thought I was projecting. Okay, so Claude Opus 4.6, that was released literally just a month and a half ago. That's their frontier model, which means that's their premier model. That's the best that they can do currently. It has a 1 million context window. They literally just pushed that up to 1 million from 200,000, I think 2 weeks ago. And it has a really great feature called adaptive thinking that I'll demonstrate and show off what that is here in a second. Opus 4.6 is not something you should use for every task you're doing. It's really best for complex analysis across really large contexts. Most Salesforce tasks we're doing, like writing triggers, writing Lightning Web Components, it's really overkill to use something like Opus. And the reason that you wouldn't want to use it, the reason you don't want that overkill is because it's going to cost you more money. So it's really when you want to prioritize quality over cost. I have the price breakdown here. This 525 notation Anthropic charges you differently based on context you send to it and context it gives you back. So those are considered input tokens versus output tokens. So for every token, for every million tokens that you provide Anthropic, they're going to charge you $5. For every token that they send you back, which is really some summary or some output, they're going to charge you $25 per million tokens. So it's an expensive model, especially when you compare it to their other model that they released literally just 10 days after Opus called Claude Sonnet 4.6. That one really is your Swiss Army knife that you can use for most of your applications, especially coding tasks. That also has the 1 million context window, so you can do a lot without it being overwhelmed, without you muddying up that context window. And it's a little bit cheaper. So $3 for the input tokens up per million, $15 for the ones down. And then the last model, this one hasn't been updated in a while. This one got released in October 2025. It's Haiku 4.5. This one's really, really fast. It responds very quickly. It's great for when you want to have a simple chat with Claude. You can still write pretty simple and decently sized pieces of code with it. You don't necessarily need Sonnet. And it's great for use cases where you need a quick reply. Like if you're building a chatbot, for example, and you want to use Anthropic's models, if it's a relatively straightforward chat, something like Haiku would help you get responses back a lot faster. And this one's significantly cheaper, $1 and $5 per million tokens. Now, most people I know, they're not using this per million tokens metric to pay for Anthropic. This is if you use their API plan and pay per usage. There's another way to pay for it, and this is what I do. They have a free model, a pro model, and then two others, or not models, but plans. Free, pro, max 5x, and max 20x. So with these, you don't pay per usage, you pay per month. So there's a subscription that you pay every month, $20, $100, $200, and you get a set amount of capacity for that window. They give you like, I think, a 5 or 6 hour window. Then they give you a weekly window allowance, and you can kind of play around with that and not go beyond your budget. So if you're not building like a million features for an actual company, it might be good to go with the subscription price instead of going with the per usage price, because it ends up being a lot cheaper. At least it has in my experience. Yeah.
So for the monthly plan, can you use any? So for the monthly plan, can you use any of those three models?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Okay.
I think the only place that you're limited on model usage is free. I don't think you get access to Opus 4.6 with that. But with Pro, Max, and Max 20, you get access to all the models.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those are individual plans, not the team.
Exactly. This is separate from enterprise pricing or team pricing. Yeah. Cool.
And Saman, based on your
I'm trying to. Yeah. Sorry, we've got a really good big audience online, so if you can grab a microphone when you have a question.
I think to answer that question best, we'd have to have a separate conversation about context and context windows and how any of these Gen AI tools take your input and tokenize them to send them back and forth between your local host and their servers. So there's no limit on the amount of documents because it more so matters how much content is in the documents themselves.
Got it. Okay.
Saman, quick question.
Yep.
Based on your experience, which plan do you
how does Claude actually integrate? Is it like an extension or how to connect it to a project? I will show you. No worries. I will show you here shortly. Yes.
Oh, because she can't hear me because I gave
Oh.
my microphone. Which plan do you recommend?
I would recommend go for the cheapest, go for Pro. That's where I started off. I was paying $20 a month and I realized I'm slowly starting to hit my usage limits. So I upgraded to $100 a month, which is probably a little more than I need. I've never hit my Pro capacity limits. And sometimes they even run promotions. Like right now they're running a 2-week promotion where outside of the hours of 5 a.m. and 11 a.m., you get double your usage. So like I already have 5x usage. Now I'm going to get 10x outside of those windows. So you really, I don't have a need to go this far. And I don't think most people have a need to go for $100, especially if you're building like side projects with it or demos with it. If you're in an enterprise, that's obviously different. But I think $20 is a good starting spot for sure. All right. Let's talk about the model capabilities. So I talked about this earlier. So thinking is one of the more recent things that they released. They released this thing called extended thinking in February 2025. And what this means is basically before this capability of thinking was released, whenever you would interact with a model, it would just quickly blurt out the answer. It wouldn't take the time to try to validate its understanding. It wouldn't think about what it's saying. It would just try to get you the answer as fast as it could. But thinking gives it the ability to really ponder and pause and validate what it's saying. And with thinking, you can control how much of that it does. So with extended thinking, when they first released that, you would give Claude a budget and you would say, I want you to spend no more than like $3 or no more than like 50,000 tokens thinking. With adaptive thinking, they've made that more automatic. So now there's different settings like low, medium, high, and max effort, they call it, that you can tell Claude. And that is basically informing Claude how often it needs to reassess its own thinking before it gives you an answer. So if you've ever interacted and you've seen it, and we'll definitely see it, where it gives you an output like I have here in this quote, okay, the user is asking X, let me consider approach A, but actually that breaks down because of this other thing, so let me try this instead, and if that's true, then do this. It has that type of thinking with this adaptive thinking capability. And again, I'll actually demo that later. So they've been just on fire. This is not my graphic. It's from productcompass.pm. They have kind of captured all of Anthropic's releases across all their different products. And what we'll be talking about today is Agent Teams. And they released that literally, again, just a month and a half ago. And from there, you can see all the other features that they've released, from HTTP hooks to voice modes, giving memory on the free plan, cloud tasks, code review tasks, dispatching, so you can like talk to Claude on your phone and have it run on your computer. They've been on fire. So if you guys feel overwhelmed with Gen AI in general, don't feel overwhelmed. No one can realistically keep up with this unless it's their full-time job. So what I'll do in this session is I'm going to highlight a couple of these really cool features, and we'll actually demo them and see them live in action so you guys can kind of feel a little more caught up with what's been going on. So the first thing I want to talk about is what a coding agent is. And what I'm talking about here is the difference between the web UI for something like Claude or even ChatGPT versus something like their VS Code extension or even their terminal capability, and what extra features you get with those. So here I have a screenshot where I gave the standard Claude web UI a prompt. I said, hey, I got an error in the account retrievable service class. This is the error that I got. Please, help me fix this error. So obviously it doesn't have any context, right? It doesn't know anything about my org. It doesn't know anything about the code. So what it does is it just returns back those common use cases. But if I ran the same prompt in the Claude Code VS Code extension, I'm able to reference that file, and it goes beyond just suggesting common causes, and it actually looks at and tells me what line number has the error and what I need to do to actually fix it. So how does that kind of work under the hood? So let me show you guys how Claude.ai, the web UI, handles your request. It's really between you and the LLM via that web interface. So you send this request to the LLM directly. You say, hey, I have this issue, find the root cause, and fix the issue. And it tells you, hey, I don't have access to your code, but here's some common causes for the issue that you described. So then you say, okay, let me copy and paste the file from my local onto that web server. And it says, oh, okay, great. I see the problem now. Here it is. And here's the line number to fix. And of course, you have to copy the solution, go and paste it into your code editor. And it can be a very laborious and tedious process. So let's look at how a coding agent could do the same thing. Instead of just connecting the user to the LLM directly, we have this coding agent. But I don't want you to think of this as a middleman, but rather a harness for the LLM. So instead of talking to the LLM directly about our prompt, we hand it over to the coding agent. And the coding agent takes that original prompt and it appends it with some additional information that enables tool usage. So it gives that original prompt, and it also tells it, hey, by the way, if you need to see a certain file, tell me by giving me this exact command. So the LLM thinks about it. It says, okay, I'll need access to the account services class. So it asks the coding agent for access. Coding agent gives the LLM access. LLM reassesses, sees, okay, do I have all the information I need? Do I need to read other classes? And once it makes that assessment, it can come back with the solution explanation and actually write the file to, or ask the coding agent to write the file to the code base. And from there, the file is written to the code base, and that solution is provided to the user. So you can see the process is a lot more automated, and it's no longer tedious for me as a developer to need to make the exact line number changes I need to make anymore. I can just talk directly to the agent and have it make those changes for me. And that's what enables us to do this agentic coding. Yeah, Neil, you had a question?
So does it also goes to the metadata level? Because you showed the example of going to a permission and checking it out.
Yeah. So in that example, it'll just send these read file requests
Right.
back and forth, and you can grant it access to go read your
Metadata.
repo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does this handle like security concerns? Like if I don't want the agent to have access to every file that I have?
So typically what it does is it'll prompt you and it'll ask for your permission. Now there's ways that you can, so if I ran this command, it would say, hey, I need to read the account services. Is that okay? And I say yes, no, or I give it another prompt. There are ways to override that completely. I'll show that with Claude. There is a flag that you can add to your command called skip dangerous permissions or something. And that will just never ask you for your permissions, and it can literally do anything it wants. And that's some of why, like, if you guys have heard of Claude bot, that's why it kind of goes nuts
That's
as
kind of
well.
like giving it God permissions?
Yeah,
kind of?
exactly.
Okay.
So with ChatGPT, like, what's the major difference?
ChatGPT's version of this is going to be Codex. So ChatGPT's version, if you're using like literally just the ChatGPT web interface, it's going to look like this process. But if you use their Codex, which is also their coding agent, it'll look again similar to how Anthropic does it.
Yeah, because it has a similar like coding agent and
Yeah,
it
exactly.
does the same.
Yeah.
But then like this is going to be how many tokens? Again, it's like 4 characters is 1 token, right? So depends on the complexity of the class and okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So can you just compare these two? I mean, this Claude coding agent with Agent 4 vibes. Like, is it different completely from that, or is it better than that, or?
Sally can definitely chime in here as well, but I think this kind of captures the overall idea of what makes a coding agent possible, whether it's vibes, codex, windsurf, cursor, et cetera, et cetera. Sally, anything you want to add about Agent 4 specifics?
Yeah, so like what I see is that, can everyone hear me or it's hard?
Nobody can hear you but me, unfortunately.
So
Try to speak and I'll try and translate. That's after your
okay, so from my experience, like all the agents, Vibes, Cloud, Cursor, they have at the end the same idea. It depends on the features and the LLM model. Currently, Agent Force Vibes is using ChatGPT 5 or something similar to ChatGPT, but I know from the roadmap and they are offering more API responses and API requests that open other models. So we may be able to use like other models like Sonnet at the end, but at the end as well, we have the skills and we have features that's covered in Agent Force 5, Claude, maybe different where we put the file and the structure, but at the end, all the LLM and the coding agents more or less the same. Sometimes we may have Force Vibes have a feature we don't have it in Claude or vice versa, so we have to keep experimenting and see which one we like more. And we have the the security.
Hey, Jason. Sorry, we're cross-talk here, guys. And the transcription is actually awful. Let's see. Let's
I can type
the final structure, but at the end, it's Claude is gonna add blood, and so that for spots. It's not doing great on transcription.
We'll get a good answer for you after the fact, okay? And then for your question about tokens, if you haven't explored OpenAI's tokenization tool, I'm showing it on the screen. You can like paste some text and kind of see how OpenAI specifically would tokenize something. So with this word "hey there," they split that into 2 tokens.
So
and
4 is 1, right? 1 token.
What is what one?
So 4 characters is 1 token.
No, not necessarily. They split it by words, but there might be some other logic as well.
I think I was just checking, it says 4 characters is 1 on Claude. Did you see, right? You have how many there?
I don't know. Maybe OpenAI does it differently, but they're saying at least on theirs they're going to treat that as 2. So there's some logic behind it. I'm not up to date on how the tokenization optimizations are built, but you can definitely check that out in a future session if you're down.
Because right now with my Claude, I'm not able to do anything, and that's when I realized, okay, I've used all my tokens.
Oh, do you pay for the subscription?
For the basic, like $20, and then I probably have to upgrade.
Well, you'll see what you'll do with 100 today. All right. Yeah, there's a question in the back. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so one of the things we've noticed.
The mic, please.
I got it. I'm using it. Yeah. So one of the things we've noticed in our company is that people who have gone to use Cowork or use the coding agent, if you're on a Windows machine, they have to turn on developer mode in order to allow it. So just whoever asked the security question a minute ago, your organization may or may not allow you to do that. If it's on a personal machine, yes. If you're working on Mac-based or Linux, there's things you may have to do as well to allow the app to run properly.
Got it. Okay, cool. Thank you for that. So yeah, definitely some system permissions you might need to enable based on your company's hardware. Okay, so here's a different view of the same idea just to make sure we kind of understand it. So again, I just wanted to highlight that the coding agent is not necessarily a middleman, but it's rather a harness around the whole thing. The LLM still is the brain of the operation. So it decides what it needs, it decides what to do next, it decides when to stop. The way that it decides is by this thing called an agentic loop. This could also be called react, depending on how it's implemented. The agentic loop is literally just 3 parts. The first part gathers context and makes sure it has what it needs. If it doesn't have what it needs, it uses tools. So there's a lot of different tools, but 2 of the main ones are read and write. So in gather context, it'll use tools, which are like those commands I showed before. It can search files, check logs that it has access to, inspect code. Once it gathers context, it starts planning its approach. And if needed, it can start actioning. But more than likely, once it plans, it's going to go back and gather more context as it develops and finds new information. And it'll keep looping based on that effort level that you said, based on that thinking level that I mentioned earlier. And once it feels like it's met its needs, that's when it starts to take action. And when it takes action, that could just be a summary that it gives back to you as a user, but it could also use those write tools to actually persist information onto your system. So it can edit files for you, it can run bash commands for you, it can create a PR for you in GitLab or GitHub, and it can really go nuts. It's not just read and write. These are all the standard tools that Anthropic and Claude Code have access to. So you can read Excel files, it can grep your system, run bash commands, do web searches, web fetches, all that good stuff. All right, guys, the fun part. We're going to build an app together. So this may go great. It may go terribly. It's going to be a real demo. I didn't practice this a million times, so you'll see kind of my live reactions towards dealing with issues and as we go. So I'll ask for a little bit of grace, but don't give me too much grace, okay? If you guys have questions about anything I'm doing or showing, stop me. I want to make sure we all kind of figure it out together and we all feel involved. So here's the scenario that I'm going to put us in. You work as a solo Salesforce developer for a high-tech software as a service startup. The solution engineers in the pre-sales org are complaining and saying that they risk losing some opportunity deals because of what they're calling product gaps. And product gap is basically any time that the company is short maybe some offering or some functionality that risks them losing the deal to a competitor. So they want the ability to actually track those product gaps in Salesforce so they can do 2 things. So they can communicate that with the product team. So the product team can properly prioritize in the backlog the different product gaps. And so they can track it as well. So you, as the solo dev at this company, you need to solidify the requirements because that's all you know right now. You need to build the architecture in Salesforce, and you also need to build the solution. The problem is they need that by the end of the day because they're about to start a new sales cycle and they need this immediately.
So Mark has a question.
Has anyone tried creating an agent that can edit Salesforce records? Is it even possible? Which I would think is yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely smart, dumb question.
No, not a dumb question. So think about some of the ways that you can edit Salesforce records without actually logging into Salesforce or like using the Salesforce UI yourself. And one of the ways that you can do that is with the SF commands, right? The SF update work tree or whatever it was called. I don't remember what it is. But since that's a bash command, that's something that you can give Claude access to. So you can prompt it to use those tools. It can run those commands, read from a CSV, build a JSON, and push that data to Salesforce. You can also use the MCP. There's tools like Playwright that you can use to log in. You can use Claude to build Selenium scripts for you to actually go into Salesforce and manipulate records. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do. So there's a lot of ways to, I don't know, chop the tree or whatever the saying is. Yeah.
What is Selenium?
Selenium is like a web driver for building that open up like Chrome and actually test your application. Cool. Everyone feeling good about the requirement that we're dealing with today? Yeah? No questions? Okay. So if you guys attended my session last Saturday in Frisco, I kind of did the same solution or same problem, but with Agentforce vibes. So you'll get to kind of see today what that approach might look like with different tooling, and you can kind of come to your own conclusions about what makes sense for you. So let's figure out how Claude Code's coding agents can help us. So the first thing that we can do is just use a single agent. And a single agent can be spawned from the terminal. So you can just write like /Claude, spin up this terminal, and you can start interacting with Claude Code this way. Or you can use the VS Code extension if you need a little more of a friendly UI. But ultimately, when you're using a single agent, it's up to you to really be the orchestrator, the planner. All the tasks you do, they have to be done sequentially because there's only one Claude process running. And if you run out of context and you need to manage your context better, you need to be responsible for identifying that, manually killing a Claude Code session, spawning a new session, dealing with transferring memory across, et cetera, et cetera. So there's some pros, there's some cons. And you can use skills to make your life easier, so I'll show that. Let me see. Let me get something. Give me one sec. So talking about skills, who's heard of skills before? Just before I go into it, a few of you. Okay, so for those of you that haven't, skill is basically just a markup file. It's a text file. What's special about it, though, is that when we define a set of skill files, like I can create a skill file called Salesforce Admin, Salesforce DevOps, Salesforce Developer. And in each of those skill files, I can write basically prompts or instructions that say very specifically what I need within that kind of skill context. And the cool part about skills is that whenever you run a Claude session, you can invoke those skills manually, or Claude can intelligently identify when it needs those certain skills. So if you have certain rules you always need for like an Apex trigger, you can build that in a skill. And you don't need to say reference my Apex trigger skill file. Claude will know, hey, I'm writing a trigger. Hey, there's a skill file related to writing the triggers. I need to pull that information in and use it in my context. So you don't have to always remind it to do the things that it needs to do. So let's start with a little sample here. So I already have a existing application for sales.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So this is from Sally, and
Yep.
I'm going to yell so you can hear me.
Uh-huh.
Can everybody hear me asking the question over Simon? Oh, you're muted, Simon. That may be why.
Oh.
No, you're good. No,
Okay.
you're good.
All right,
You're
cool.
good. You're talking through my microphone. So, okay. When would you use a skill versus a rule versus agents.md file?
Skill versus a rule versus an agent MD file. So I don't think Claude has rules. Claude does have skills, and it has the Claude.md files. So with the Claude.md files, those are things that you basically always need Claude to do. So if you have some project-specific commands or prompts that you always need Claude to honor, you'd put that in the Claude.md file. And again, skills would be when you need very specific instructions based on certain criteria or use cases. And then what was the other one?
Skill versus rule versus agents.md.
Rule. I don't think Claude doesn't have a rule by that name. So I don't think they have that. But if I show something that reminds you of rule, let me know so we can call that out. Okay, so yeah.
I think the rules thing that they were mentioning is related to Agentforce agents.
Yeah,
Has
the
rules.
vibes, yeah.
I assume Claude Code does not have rules of the specific term.
They don't have rules specifically, but maybe they do, and I just don't know about it. So we can see.
Saman?
Yeah.
Is everything you're talking about is Claude Code, or I get confused with projects, co-work, and code.
You get confused with
skills.
projects, co-work. Okay, so
skills, co-work, projects, and code.
Okay, so co-work is a desktop application that Claude provides that you can install on your machine. I think I have it myself. It's this guy. So that's basically like having that Claude web UI available on your desktop with the added benefit that it can actually interact with your files that are on your machine. And that's something that Claude Web can't do. Claude Code is specifically the coding agent. You don't have to only use it for coding, but that's primarily what it's designed to do. Skills are something that is transferable across all coding agents, so you can think of that more as a standard.
The Zoom is okay, but it could probably be a
Okay. But yeah, that's something that you got to write down because there's so many different words and so many different definitions. It's hard to keep track. And I could say down. They do some things, and like OpenAI and Anthropic, even they have different definitions for some of what they're building. Like Anthropic calls agents what OpenAI calls workflows, I think. So even though, and they call them like agentic workflows, not just agents. So there's a lot of like differences in how folks are defining things. Yeah, exactly. No, it's not just you.
Sally is asking, how does the initial setup for the project be done so that to have a Claude folder in the project so anyone starting can follow along or test it at home?
I'll do a separate content on that. I'm not prepared to go through all the nitty-gritty of that, but I'll post something on my YouTube channel for those that are interested. I'll just focus on the capabilities. So 2 ways to interact with Claude. One is with the VS Code extension. So you see this little purple, whatever this is. So this is the Claude window. So I can literally ask it anything off the bat. I can say, hey, summarize this file for me. And you notice that it already picks up the context of whatever file I'm in. So I don't need to necessarily tell it what file I care about. But if I did, I could also use the @ symbol and grab whatever file I needed. Before I run this command, I want to show off a couple things that we talked about earlier. Here, I can go ahead and select my model. So the Opus 4.6 can be used, Sonnet, and Haiku. So I'm just going to stick to Sonnet. It's not a big deal. I don't need Opus for this. And within that, I can also adjust the effort. So this is the amount of thinking that it needs to do to arrive to the answer. I can set that all the way up to high or all the way down to low. Now for this type of task, honestly, this is a pretty straightforward file. I don't think I even need Sonnet. So if I really wanted to be careful about my limits, I would change this down to Haiku, honestly turn thinking off, and just ask it to summarize the file and save myself some money. And since this is Haiku, it should respond back pretty quickly. There you go. And just like any other coding agent, if you wanted to interact back and forth, get more information, you can. But this is pretty boring. I don't want to spend too much time worrying about this. What I want to show off first are skills. So one thing I have to do really often as a developer is I have to write a test class, deploy the test class, see if the tests pass. If they don't, I have to debug it and figure out what went wrong. So that's the first thing I want to show off before we get into that whole pre-sales app. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to intentionally create a bug in this application. So whatever this line is, checking for op amount less than 1,000, I'm just going to do op amount less than like 0 or something. I'm going to break the code, and I'm going to deploy this up to prod. Now, if you guys weren't using a coding agent, what would you typically do at this point if you wanted to test all the classes in this org? What would you guys do? It's not a trick question. You'd go over, you could go to each individual file, you could run all tests, wait for it to run, see that it fails, read the error message, figure out what went wrong. You could go to your org, run all tests, figure out what went wrong individually. But because of these coding agents, there's a much better way to do this now. So I've created a skill called Salesforce Test Overwatch. And this is not a huge skill by any means. It's just 60 lines long, and I could have honestly made it shorter. But what this skill is going to do is it's going to run all the Salesforce tests via the Salesforce CLI. It's going to analyze them for failures, and it's going to create a plan to actually fix those for me. I don't necessarily need to know all the nitty-gritty details. So I have steps defined for it. So I say first you need to run all the Apex tests. And just in case it gets confused on the command or uses some of the older SFDX commands, I've just prompted it and given it the command that it needs to run. And I tell it, go ahead and use the default org that the user's connected to. If they're not connected to a default org, prompt them to get logged in first. Then I tell it to parse and summarize the results, analyze for failures, create a fix plan, and then prompt the user to review it, asking them whether they want to accept the plan, accept changes, or reject it altogether. So let's run that and see. I'll come down here, and I will first fire up Claude in my terminal. There it is. And for this, I can change my model here too, the same way that I did in the web UI. So I'll hit the model command. Right now, it's going to use Opus. I think that's a little bit overkill, but screw it. Life is short. We're going to do Opus. And I also want to adjust the effort. Right now, it's set for low. So let me fix that. With my just like left and right arrow keys, I can adjust the amount of effort. So I'm going to just set that to high effort, but then have it use Opus. OK. So to kick off that skill, and again, this skill is literally just a prompt that I'm storing as a file. It's like literally nothing special. So I'll run Salesforce Test Overwatch here. And I'll go get myself a margarita. I'm done. So we'll just watch this run. Any questions so far? Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
have a
question
question.
here.
on
So how does this handle?
Sorry. You have the microphone?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
And I might interrupt if it does something interesting. So apologies in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So how does this handle the run the test as a user?
So this is literally just running the SF CLI command. So there's no difference between doing it that way versus hitting this run all test button.
Okay.
Do we have those skills in a global context, or were they project specific?
These ones specifically are project specific because I want to use them across different demo projects. So you won't find them in here. You'll see them in my other project here. So this is literally just my Claude file with those different skills. Okay. So it had a little bit of a failure. That's not a big deal. And then in here it said, okay, do you want to run that? And I say yes.
Question.
Yep.
It wasn't a question as much as a comment.
Yep.
In order to share the skills, you probably have to have a Teams plan where you can post a skill at an organizational level, and then it's
Right.
available to multiple people.
Yeah, yeah. For now, I just have mine on GitHub, so like you can grab it from there. But yeah, good call out. Because I think you can like create plugins with Teams, right? And share them across. That's cool.
So this skill concept is strictly with Claude, right?
No, this can be applied to any other coding agent too. So Agentforce Vibes has it, Codex has it.
Oh.
So what's really cool is if you want to switch between tools, like if you don't want to give $100 to Claude, you want to give 20 to Anthropic, 20 to OpenAI, you can have one common set of skills that both use.
Got it.
And that way you can spend $40 a month and get both instead of spending 100 and getting just one. Okay, so running some commands. And to your point earlier, I can add that flag called like run dangerous commands, and it won't ever prompt me for this, but I don't want to do that right now, so I'll just let it run.
Clarification on what you said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We asked if the skills were project specific. You said they were project specific.
Oh, I'm sorry, they're workspace specific. Sorry.
Workspace specific. Thank you.
Sorry.
Maybe get chips or anything?
No, I'm all set.
So someone, now you're doing it manually, right? If somebody deploys, that time the skill should invoke or that.
Yeah, so you can kind of build, you can kind of come up with your own composable architecture. So you can have skills call other skills, and you just have to put that in the prompt. So far, it's run the test, it's found some failures, and now it's analyzing the code to kind of understand what went wrong. Oh, I forgot I still have those potato tests.
This is taking the response token, right?
Yes. Yeah, so you can see you can kind of keep track of it here if you wanted, how many tokens it's sending up and down. And when I don't remember running this many commands, but we'll see how it goes. All right, so it came back and it said, okay, you have 65 tests in your org, only 60 of those passed. Here's your org-wide coverage, and here are the 4 tests that failed. So now it's going into plan mode to kind of figure out how to fix that.
Someone, does it also do the jest class, LWC, JS, jest classes as well? Or
Does it do what?
Jest.
Oh, the jest test? Yeah, you can have it run the jest test too.
Can we output the result of the testing?
Okay.
I'm sorry, we're talking over you, John. So Sally asked, can we output the result of testing
Yes.
and fixing pointer to an MD file to ship?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do
Yeah,
that
for
now.
sure. For sure. Okay, so here's the plan. So it gave us each individual failure, what failed, what the error was, and what it determined to be the root cause. So here it did successfully find that, hey, where I remember, if you remember, I changed that from 10,000 to 0. So it's calling that out as the root cause, and it's asking us to change that line. Here's the file, here's the line number. I guess I did have a potato class in here. I forgot I had that, so we can ignore that. And I'm gonna say, yeah, go ahead and auto accept the edits. And how are we doing on time? I don't want to spend too much time on this, but
No, you're good.
all right. So there it is, making the line change. And you can see I still have plenty of tokens left. I haven't hit my 50 request limit.
Lytton has a question. Do we have time for that?
Yep.
Okay, can I use the same skill across all coding agents, or
Yes.
do I need a specific skill for each?
Yeah. So what I do, I have mine in my Claude.md, but you can put them somewhere else. And there's different tools available too that let you transfer skills into common places for coding agents. But yeah, there's nothing in my skill that says anything specific to Claude. So what's cool about this too, I should have showed this off. Okay, so you see it prompted me for a command right now, but what I should be able to do hopefully here is on my phone, I think. Let me see if it loads. Okay, it didn't load for me right now, so never mind. Do you want to proceed? Yes. And if there's certain commands that you want to always allow, like this SF Apex run test, like I don't consider that to be too risky, I can tell Claude to allow list that command. So I don't have to always sit here and baby it to do that. Let that run.
Real quick here,
Yeah.
what is the shimmying that's currently happening?
They're just quirky. Anthropic's trying to be quirky. Okay, cool. So it made those changes. Awesome. And it deployed it. Perfect. Cool. And then if I did want to rerun that, I could rerun it again and just have it confirm, but I don't really need to. Any questions about that command and how it works? And did you guys fully understand what just happened? As a developer, I would have probably spent, maybe not forever, but like 20 minutes at least. And I've traded 20 minutes with just hitting approve a couple times and reviewing a couple times. And it didn't load. Maybe it's because I'm hotspotting from my phone or something. I don't know why. But what you can do is you can transfer a session that's happening on your computer to your phone. So I could literally have my computer run, go to my kitchen, start making coffee. And if I get prompted for a yes/no question, I can literally just look at it on my phone and hit yes. Like I don't need to just be constantly sitting at my computer.
Is that the remote feature or the dispatch feature? I'm not
I think dispatch is just if you want to use Claude Cowork, I think. It's their it's their remote one. I don't know why it's not loading. But cool, it reran the test, everything passed. And obviously I have GitHub or Git on this project, so I'm able to see the changes that it made and all that. Okay. Let me see if I want to do this next one or not. One thing it didn't do is, well, I think it's because, yeah, that's fine. I won't show that. Let me do one other example to show off another skill. I'm going to just start a new session with Claude. And do you guys want to see the VS Code extension example, or are you guys okay if I keep using the terminal? It's totally up to you and your preference. Like if you want to feel like you put your CS degree to good use, you can use the terminal. But if you're just a pragmatic person, you can just use the Claude Code. That's a good question. Easiest to get started with is definitely Claude Code. If you're not familiar with the terminal or Unix or Linux-based systems, then terminal might be a little overwhelming.
We have a VS Code extension, please, request.
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, perfect. Let's do the VS Code extension. So this is just literally a Salesforce extension that you can install just like all the Salesforce ones. And it works really the same way. So here, let me give it a new example. I'm going to say, here, let me, instead of just copying it, I'm going to copy a prompt I've already written. And I'm going to ask Claude to come up with a new feature for me. So I'm going to say, create a field called potato on the opportunity, and also create a field called potato date. Like it literally doesn't matter what this field is called. I just want with potato. The potato date should update via a trigger whenever the potato is set to true. And just to make sure that guy didn't get stuck in here. Okay, cool. So I'm going to switch over to plan mode. You can do that. I didn't talk about the modes, but there's plan mode and edit mode that you can choose between. So if you choose plan, it'll think about what it wants to do before immediately taking action. And it gives you a chance to review its plan. I'm just going to send it, actually, if you guys are cool with edit mode. Did anyone really want to see plan mode? I'll show plan mode, you guys, whatever. We won't try to cut corners today. So let's see what it does. So it's looking at my opportunity trigger handler, looking at all the different classes.
So that's going into the object and creating fields?
Not yet. Right now, it's putting together a plan by bringing itself up to speed on the code base and what it has access to on the project.
Okay.
Yep.
So if we have any or project-wise coding standards which we are following, apart from the best-known practices like specific to the project, do we need to have that in skill, or it reads the project files and then it understands and it does coding according to that? Like for example, trigger framework. Like if we're using a handler and like a context class and all those
Great question. So I like to put those in skills. So we'll kind of see what it does here with this trigger portion. But like I said, with the cool thing about skills is you don't need to constantly remind it to use certain skills. So I already have a skill on my workspace called Salesforce Developer. And in there it has the exact thing that you called out. I tell it before you write any triggers, check to see if there's a trigger handler base class that already exists in the project. And that's because we're using the Kevin O'Hara trigger framework in this project. So if you don't see it, stop. Don't try to write the trigger. Prompt the user to get the framework installed. That's what we need. Then I define other rules. I don't think it usually doesn't need stuff like this. For these skill files, I like to avoid telling it something that I think it should already know. I slowly and incrementally build these skill files based on what it gets wrong. So if I see that Claude is creating more triggers, more than one trigger, then I'll go ahead and add a rule that says only create one trigger. I will trust that based on the ML model and the training, it knows to do that. There's plenty of resources online. I don't need to spend an extra 30 tokens telling it to do that. That's like, no one wants to do that. Okay, so it gave me...
Also, just as a reminder, you can tell the skill to use Opus or based on
Yes.
the task.
Yes.
And you could split skills up to say use this for haiku, and then for this one piece do Sonnet or Opus.
Yes.
Which is a huge savings.
Thank
It's
you.
massive.
John and I work for the same company, and we've got people working on token optimization based
Yeah.
on plan limits and things
Yeah.
like that. And we found that our people who have been very adept at saying, hey, look, use Haiku for this, use Sonnet for this, use Opus for this, they're optimizing their spend.
Yeah.
And they're optimizing their token lifespan, right?
Very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and thank you for calling that out. So here's an example of what he's saying. In the previous example, I only have the name and the description, but here you can also define the model and then also the effort, the thinking effort that the skill has. So if you have a low priority task, like you just need to read a requirements file or something, you can use Haiku for that. If you need to go online and do research about a new requirement, that might be a better use case for Opus. So you can kind of have those in the different skill files and automatically use those settings. So thank you for calling that out. So here, it's a little hard to see because of how zoomed in I am, but yeah. Based on the context. So what you need to do when you're creating that skill file is have a good description and have just good context in the skill in general about what action needs to take and when to use it. Yeah. Yeah. That I don't know. I don't know how it works with Copilot, so I don't want to just assume. Sorry. So I'm going to just accept the plan it had. Cool. And you notice it's also going to update the page layout. It's going to update the custom fields, all that good stuff. And here it goes. It did all that. One thing it didn't do, though, is it didn't update my package XML file. So as a developer, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but if I wanted to deploy these changes, I'd have to go and grab all these API names, put them in the package XML, or I'd have to individually deploy all these. So I want to show that you can create yet another skill to kind of help automate that for you. So I'll undo these changes real quick. And I'll redo this after I build a skill so you guys can see the difference on how a skill can automatically get picked up. So in my Claude skills folder, I'm just going to create a new skill. And all I need to do to create the skill is literally just create a folder called like Salesforce DevOps in this example. And in there, I'm going to create a new file called skill.md. I'm just going to copy the format of this guy. And in here, I'm going to say something like, this DevOps skill needs to be used every time a Salesforce metadata is updated or created. And then I'll say something along the line. Let me make sure I don't already have this. Instead of doing it like this, you can come up with a skill file yourself, but you can also ask Claude Code to create it for you. So I'll do that. So I can open up a separate Claude Code session separate from this one. And in here, I can ask it to create a global Claude skill for me called Salesforce DevOps. And I'll paste what I had there. And every time a piece of Salesforce metadata is updated or created, I need you to update the package XML so I could deploy it. And that skill should always be invoked. And it's not invocable by a user. That part doesn't matter.
There's a question, can we add subfolders for more resources, an example, as we do with Agentforce 5 skills? Yes.
What's the question?
Skills. Can we add subfolders for more resources, an example?
Because that's going to eat up tokens.
I'd have to see an example. I don't know what that looks like. But I can find out. Yep.
The org is already synced, right? So you need to sync the org, plus you have to have the skill.
Yeah, yeah. So I can show that too here in a second. I should have had the Salesforce admin skill.
Saman, can
So
you
I'll check
repeat
that
the
here in a second. When
question?
we reprompt it, I'll remind it to do that.
I'm saying, can we repeat the question in the room so we know what Saman is answering?
We can't quite hear the question, so please try to make sure to grab the microphone and unmute it.
Yeah.
I see
What-
you've got it muted, it's red.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I was going to add to that is when in doubt, after you build the skills thing, you can ask Claude, is this require sonnet or haiku? And actually it guided me to rewrite my skill to call Python. So you can actually add in the Skype, you have the skills MD, you can actually add Python in there as well.
Yeah.
And it changed it, it lowered it 8% of token use by converting it to Python.
Oh, that's 80%?
80%.
That's insane.
And it was like when I drop these, I drop every morning, we drop these 3 files in there and it creates a daily email of booking, shipping, that type of stuff. And it took, it felt like a couple minutes, but it's probably 45 seconds. After converting it to Python, it was like just seconds.
Very cool.
Yeah, this has to do with the way Claude is working. They actually have 4 pricing tiers, right? They have the ingress and egress for your prompts.
Right.
But they also
APIs.
have a caching ingress and a caching egress.
Prompt caching?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if your code is already pre-compiled effectively, right, and the Python code or whatever code is not changing, then when it's coming back to you from an egress standpoint, it's much lower cost because it's just relying on what it's got cached for you already. So these are part of the things that we're finding in our development efforts that are allowing people to extend their token use and not hit limits as much and things like that. Anyway,
Very cool.
It's good. It's good guidance.
One other thing is, I learned something that was not, I thought JSON would be better on token usage than CSV.
Yeah.
And it's the opposite. Because it counts every word, because every record has the labels.
Right.
It counts those as token, parts of the token. Whereas
Really?
the CSV only has it across the top.
Interesting.
I was converting everything from CSV to JSON thinking that was going to save, computer talking computer. And it was actually eating up more tokens.
How is this handling the security, like, what profile, roles, permission sets, and all of that? Because I saw the layout, it just added, right? So
yeah, one thing I'm surprised about here, and I want to run this. So I created that skill file, the DevOps. Let me see what that looks like.
So it's supposed to ask you, right? Like what profile or role we should be aligning it to?
Yeah, it should have. Let me see what skill file it created.
So can we build a prompt which builds all the possible skills and then we use the same for the project?
Yeah, you can with, especially with the terminal here, you might be able to do it here too.
Yeah, because we want to make sure that security and everything is covered, right? So
exactly. So like here, I ran that command and the Salesforce DevOps skill. So that'll run now and it should hopefully give me that package XML. I was expecting it to kick off automatically, which it has in the past. It didn't this time. Oh, it's because it didn't save. Why didn't it save?
Quick question.
Yeah.
What is that package file that we're now altering?
Oh, the package. So whenever you're working with the Salesforce SFDX format, it gives you this pattern manifest package XML where you can define the metadata that you need retrieved or deployed. So on this package XML, I can right click, I can deploy everything in here, I can retrieve it. It's what tools like Capado or GearSet use to deploy your changes. And it interacts directly with the metadata API.
Okay, thanks.
So that one's giving me some trouble. I'll run another one, for example. So some folks have been calling out that permission set. So I have another skill called Salesforce Admin.
yeah, and possibly suggesting, let's say if we have an existing field which can be used, right? So like an architect, level thinking about why should we create a new custom field if we can repurpose what we have.
Exactly.
So that kind of skill is what I'm
Right. So you can definitely add that to the skill file. And I think in the next example, I'll just jump to that one and we can kind of see different ways that you can do that. Okay, so that was just a warm up. Now we can go back to our pre-sales app and kind of get that started. So for that, I'm going to use the terminal because there's some extra capabilities that I can access. So I just wanted to show you guys kind of the max of Claude and what it can do. So I'm just going to set up a new session. And I'll remind us of our scenario again, just in case we forgot. So the solution engineers need a way to track product gaps in Salesforce and associate them to opportunities. So I have another skill that's called the Salesforce Architect skill that I'm going to launch, and that is going to help me flush out the requirements. And the way that it's going to flush out the requirements is by following a bit of a decision tree. So I've told it to kind of follow a decision tree. So anytime I ask about a certain topic, it'll break it down into leaf nodes and kind of go down the thought process of all the different logical considerations. Yeah, feel free to take a screenshot. Let me go show you what that skill file looks like real quick. And this one is not a long file at all, 30 lines. So all I'm asking it to do in this skill is conduct a structured design review, walking through every branch of the plan by asking probing questions and resolving dependencies before moving forward. So it's going to help me design the solution and make sure I come up with all the requirements that I need. So with Claude, you can actually use voice mode. So I'll just talk to it by holding down. Come on, buddy. Let me try it here.
Just a quick update. So the appetizers, water, are on the house. Any meals or drinks that you're ordering on top of that, make sure you pay your tab. And Tom, I got your beer. I owe you one.
Or what on earth? Okay. Okay, so I'm not in that VS Code terminal. I don't know what happened with this guy, but I went to that same project folder that this application is in. So I'll start talking to Claude and kind of tell it about what we need. So I'm working on this Salesforce project, and the pre-sales business came to me with the ask that they need to capture product gaps in Salesforce. They want to have these product gaps connected to a opportunity record so they can understand how opportunities are affected by these product gaps. There could potentially be multiple product gaps associated to every opportunity. So there is potentially a many-to-many relationship that I will need to consider. But I need your help figuring out the rest of what I need to build. All I know is that they want to connect the product gap to the opportunity and that they want to capture some cumulative data about the opportunity on the product gap, like the amount or the total amount of opportunities that have that gap. Okay. So that's basically what the business gave me, and I'm going to give that as a prompt to Claude without having to type it all out. So I'll just hit enter. Yep. I don't think there's a limit. I think, or like, oh, in voice languages? I don't know, actually. I've only done, sorry, I was like coding languages. So you see it automatically loaded that Salesforce Architect skill for me. It recognized that we're designing something and it needs to call that. So let's see what it does.
Let's say if you are speaking something and you made a mistake.
Oh, can you make that screen bigger at all?
Yeah. It converts your voice to text, so you can always edit it before you hit enter. So in the skill, the very first thing that I told it to do, or one of the first things, was to go ahead and read the code base. If you have any questions that can be answered by reading the code base, read the code base rather than asking. So what it's doing right now is doing exactly that. It's going through the code base, bringing itself up to speed with what's already been built.
Have you tried to, I did something with some metadata one time where I downloaded into a Python and said, find all the flows that could
Oh, cool.
theoretically be merged
Yeah.
and find like stuff that needs to be fixed that way. And like, instead of having 3 flows, I could put them into one easily.
Yeah, nice.
This could do that, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it has access to your files, it can do whatever you need it to do for the most part, depending on your prompt. And yeah, I mean, it might need help, right? Like maybe it doesn't know the flow XML that well, and you need to give it sample XMLs that could represent duplication or stuff like that. But in my experience, it's been pretty good with creating flows. Okay, so in the other section of the prompt was basically to give me an upfront idea of what that decision tree is going to look like, so I know what to expect, and then start asking me those questions one by one. So it already started with that. The first thing that we're going to do is figure out the data model, figure out what fields we need, what objects we need, etc. The business logic, so what calculations or business rules we need, and then it's going to go and ask about permissions, profiles, page layouts, all that good stuff, see if there's reporting needs, and then ask me about data volumes or governor limits. So let's start talking back to it. So let's start at the root. The product gap object represents a gap in your product offering. A few questions. What identifies a product gap? Is there a name title field? Okay, so I'll just start talking to it. Yes, let's use the standard name field, and I just want that to be a text area or a text field that the customer or that the user can just input and name the product gap using that field. What descriptive fields do I need? Yes, let's have description as a long text area. Let's go with a category, and the pick list values that you provided are great. Let's go with that. Status, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's have status with the pick list values that you provided. We don't need priority. We can drop that for now. And product area, let's go ahead and drop that as well. We don't need that. But also, I didn't see that you mentioned the roll-up fields that we would potentially need to capture the amount and the total count of opportunities associated to that gap. All right. And then it asks, no, we only need to associate product gaps to opportunities. So I could have cleaned this up potentially, like I didn't need that into it, but whatever. And I forgot to call it out too, but I could adjust the model that's running here. I think it's running Opus right now, and you can drop that down to Sonnet or Haiku if you need. So, okay, let's see, got it. Here's what we're looking at for the product gap. So it's gonna create description, category, perfect. That's what we just talked about. Good call on the roll-up fields. Okay, so then going on to the opportunity gap. This is a many-to-many bridge. It needs 2 master details. Yep, couple of questions. Relationship, do you want 2 master details? Yes, I do want 2 master details, but I do want the ability to reparent the opportunity master detail relationship. Fields on the junction object. No fields are needed on the junction object besides potentially one called amount that can copy in the amount from the opportunity it's looking up to. And this is kind of the difference between, not that this will get me there, but when you hear about AI slop, it's relevant to your code too. So if I just gave that initial prompt that I gave to Claude Code, it would definitely run with it, especially in edit mode, and it would start creating things. But this gives me the opportunity to be a little more intentional when I'm vibe coding. And that's what kind of makes the difference between the senior engineers who know what they're doing because they've been doing it for years using technologies like this versus someone that's like new to Salesforce, new to coding in general, using a tool like this. And I do think if y'all are not all Salesforce developers, maybe you haven't written code in a while, or maybe you're admins, if you are intentional about creating processes within your vibe coding kind of pipeline, you can get some better results than just like trying to one-shot prompt everything. Because it all just goes back to being intentional and trying to figure out what actually you want to build and treating software as a means to an end versus, you know, the end all be all. Okay, quick follow-up on the amount. How should this value stay in sync? If someone updates the opportunity amount after the junction is created, should the junction amount automatically update? Yes, I'm thinking that if the opportunity amount changes, then the product gap and the opportunity gap should both reflect that. And if the opportunity gap lookup changes, then we should grab the new opportunity amount from the new opportunity lookup. and it should always stay in sync. Good call out about cross-object formula fields not being used. I agree. I think we're going to need a trigger on the opportunity to push this, as well as a trigger on the opportunity gap. So that part about the cross-object formula field, that's actually something that I added to the skill file myself, because I know that Claude has a tendency to try to do roll-ups against formula fields that are cross-object. And that's a Salesforce limitation. They don't let you do a roll-up on a cross-object formula field. So that's an example of me not necessarily putting everything I know into a skill file, but putting the things that I know Claude tends to get wrong. So it can do this and just be ahead of the curve. Okay, so roll-up fields, and as you can see, there's so many questions, so bear with me. One question, should the roll-up count all the related opportunities? Yeah, it should count all the related opportunities. Okay, so now move into the business logic. Your project already uses the blah, blah, blah framework. I can see you already have a handler. Do you need any validation rules? No. New selector. Okay, great. That sounds good. No, I don't need any validation rules. Good idea. I don't have a permission set currently. Let's create a permission set for solution engineers. And they should have read access and edit access and view all access for these S objects that we're creating. The org-wide defaults, let's keep those as private. Locked in. Okay, cool. One follow-up. Should solution all up? Okay, yes, they should also have delete access. So you can, that's a good example. If it doesn't just call it a day, it does follow up. And I think it's because I have the effort level at high, so it is kind of reevaluating. Now let's talk about how users will interact with this, creating product graphs. I will kind of just keep this. Yeah. Yeah.
So you mentioned that the effort level is high. Would it be more AI slop if the effort level was low?
Not necessarily, because that effort level is just the ability for it to reconsider what it said before and just kind of validate what it said. So the more iterations it takes has a better chance of proving itself right or wrong and kind of switching approaches. Yeah, let's go with the Lightning Web Component on the quick action page layout. Yes, let's go ahead and create those page layouts and put all the fields on the layouts. I don't necessarily need sections. You can put it all in the same section. And let's also put the related list of opportunity gaps on the opportunity record page, so users can create the product gaps and opportunity gaps from the related list itself. Okay. Oh my God! Stop with the follow-up questions.
When this does build something, Saman?
It will build something. I promise. It's not just me talking to it.
I didn't mean it that way, but is it all going to be Apex code, or will it be flows, or?
It can do it all. Flow, it's a little bit, there's less training data, of course, with flows because there's less flows out in the world.
But it could build or update flows.
Yeah, it could do that. We can do like a separate thing on that later. Okay. Quick follow-up. Yeah, the user clicks it, and from there, they should be able to search the product gaps and select from it, and then create a new product gap. Your assumptions are correct, but they can only do one at a time. We're almost there. Sorry about that. Okay, last branch, you guys. Okay, so roughly how many product gaps do exist? We can expect a few hundred product gaps to exist in the system. I don't anticipate many product gaps being updated in bulk. Same with opportunity gaps. And I don't expect there to be more than 1 or 2 opportunity gaps associated to every opportunity. So last stretch there, just doing the governor limit check, making sure nothing needs to move into an asynchronous Apex pattern. There it's giving me the summary. So Sally asked earlier, right, is it possible to put this in a GitHub or like an MD file so you can like share it with your team? You can definitely do that, and you can go one step further. You can actually ask it to publish this to GitHub as an issue. So I've done that with my Salesforce analyst skill. Let me show that real quick. With this analyst skill, where'd you go? What I'm going to ask it to do is to create a PRD, a products requirement document. And this is going to be taking all the output from my conversation during that design phase and creating a PRD. So it's going to break it down into user stories. It's going to follow that format. And it's going to document all our implementation decisions so I can use that in future Claude sessions. So to show that off real quick, I'm going to run that Salesforce analyst skill and let that guy do its thing.
I have a question from Uma online. How many iterations allowed before the final step, given we have limitations with tokens or licensing with regard to Claude?
It totally depends on, like, I know y'all have the pay per usage, but if you also have the subscription, I don't think you're going to hit that limit with just this conversation. And I've gone up to, I think, like 30 or so questions back and forth with this thing. But of course, I have the max plan, so I have some higher usage limits. Okay, do these match your... Cool, so it just confirmed that I want all that information in the PRD, and it's gonna go to the GitHub repo associated to this project. It's gonna run those bash commands.
So did you do the gallivanting and the precipitating, or is that that?
That's all Claude, man.
Okay.
He's
I'm just
precipitating
curious.
right now. Can I join your hotspot? I think my phone's about to die.
Yeah, just find it. Yep.
Hopefully that doesn't ruin this session, but all right, cool. Thank you.
You've already joined before, right?
Yeah, I'm all set. Thank you.
You're charging good, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can plug in your phone too if you want.
Cool. And after this, there's just one last thing I want to show, and then we'll be done.
So we started this around 7, right?
6:30.
This specific apps.
Did we at 7?
Yeah.
It's been going. It hasn't been going for 30 minutes.
This specific apps of using doing this.
Yeah.
Not the,
what stuff?
Not the potato stuff.
Oh, okay. This stuff, yeah.
Actual solution.
Yeah. But no, not 30 minutes. Has it been 30 minutes of this back and forth? Really? I started that at 7?
Yeah.
No way. Still faster than getting on a whiteboard with your team. And, yeah. And we got full-fledged requirements.
And we're at this stage.
Yeah. Let's just hope it can do this. That doesn't typically take 2 minutes. Maybe it's because I switched my internet connection, but
There's nothing to do with internet speeds, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I hope Mr. AT&T himself has got a good connection, which I think he does.
We know you're on a good connection for sure.
I'm on his hotspot now. I was on mine.
Yeah, you may have lost a session token. Get a response. You've got to keep alive.
So just one. So like I use one skill where I gave all the utility code, reusable code, and asked it to use it within the new code, like let's say logging framework.
Yeah.
And other things. So it did use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I shot myself in the foot by switching connections. So don't worry, I have a backup. Let me kill this guy so you guys don't have to watch me answer all that again. Okay, so on GitHub.
Think it'll recover if we swap back to your phone?
No, but it's okay. I have a pre-made one from some testing earlier. So sorry that I can't show you the magic, but basically it literally did create this. This happened in an earlier session I did to demo this. So I'm going to get to the main event now, using these agents to get the most out of Claude Code. let me copy some of the commands so you guys don't have to watch me do all this. I'm going to use a tool called tmux. Has anyone ever heard of that? It's a way to basically take one terminal and allow it to multiplex so you can have multiple terminals running at the same time within one window. So I already have that tool installed. So I'm going to run this command, tmux new session, and I'm just going to call this session pre-sales Agentforce team session.
You were presenting the whole time. It didn't skip a beat with Zoom.
Nice.
With Bevy, so.
Awesome. Okay, so now that I'm in this session, and I know I'm in the session because this little green arrow showed up, I'm just going to run this command so I can click around instead of using the keyboard. And hopefully I spelled that right. Okay, so I just launched Claude in that version I was telling you about earlier where you skip all the permissions. So it's not going to, exactly, it's not going to sit there and say, can I do this, can I do this, can I do this? And I'm running right now, let's see, I'm running Opus and I'm running it at high effort. So this is literally the best it can do. So you guys will kind of see the full thing here. So what I will do is I'm going to go ahead and grab the URL for this. And I'm going to tell Claude, spin up an agent team to implement these requirements. In addition to the needed agents, spin up a code reviewer agent that can review the other agents' work. Also spin up a security agent that can review against security best practices. And what I'm doing here before I run this command, I use this word specifically, agent teams. So this is the feature that they released on February 5th or whatever. And the way that it works is what I just showed you guys earlier was just running one single agent at a time. There was another version of this called sub-agents that Claude has available too. These are great if you want to run multiple tasks kind of sequentially or parallel, but these tasks don't need to interact with each other. So you can do more than just running one agent at a time. You do get a new context window for each of those agents. But the kind of trade-off is that this main agent is coordinating all the work of these sub-agents, which means these agents can't collaborate with one another. So if you need an agent to build an LWC and another agent to build Apex and another agent to build a couple fields, the agents can't talk to each other and coordinate directly. They have to go through this main agent, and the context window for that guy starts adding up. So what I want to demo instead, I wanted to demo this too, but obviously we're short on time, is I want to demo agent teams. So with agent teams, it's the same idea of spawning multiple agents to run at the same time, but the difference is these agents can actually talk to each other. So if the admin agent is dependent on the Apex agent or the LWC agent, they can wait for each other and allow each other to unblock themselves if needed. So let me run this and see what it does. This will, again, I think take a minute or two to kind of spawn the agent team, but then we'll be able to see what it does once it spawns that. And we should be done with this in just about 6 minutes. So thank you guys for your patience. Went a little bit over what I wanted to do. So again, it's bringing itself up to the code base. It's a brand new context, so it needs to do that, figure out what's going on. Eventually here, it's going to go read that requirements document. And while it's doing that, I'll just kind of highlight what it outputted there. So it shared that main problem statement. It shared a high level of the solution, and it broke it down into user stories. So this would be, again, if I'm that solo developer, it's a great opportunity for me to pause and share this with my business partners and tell them, hey, this is what I'm thinking of building. Is this what you're thinking? And then all those implementation decisions captured here as well, testing decisions, what's out of scope, and then any like further notes. Yep. So this should kick off the agents in just another minute, so just bear with me. What happened? Oh.
What did we lose?
The HDMI connection. Do you think it just turned off? Do we need to hit the button again? Oh, screen share's on.
There you go.
We need agent to handle this.
All right.
High tech here. Not always.
Spend a lot of time soft copying over here.
Could we use Jira instead of GitHub, pull in the story the same way?
Yeah, definitely. Whether it's like the web search tool, if it has access to your Jira, or if Atlassian has like CLI commands, you could definitely grab it.
Is there similar connection type thing?
Yeah, but what was nice about using GitHub is that my project is already configured to access that GitHub repo, because that's where I'm deploying my code and all that. So it's able to kind of do it without a configuration step.
I meant to ask earlier with the web AI, like obviously this living in VS Code has access to your GitHub. Could I give the web AI access to my GitHub online to be able to see every
I don't
file?
think so.
Or, I mean, obviously it wouldn't have great edit access because, well, I'm not sure how editing files in GitHub works.
I don't think you can do that with the web UI, because there's that coding agent layer isn't there. So it doesn't have the ability to access those tools, like all the tools. I don't know if it can access write tools in that. But if anyone knows for sure, let me know.
I don't think any of the main coding ones can. OpenClaw and NemoClaw are getting close to where they can reach, pull, talk, and push to other true services, but most of the AIs are trying to observe security limits to stay within their sandbox. OpenClaw's got people really nervous about trying to give it OS permissions and stuff like that. It's
security stuff.
Yeah.
It's gonna do it. It's gonna do it. It's gonna do it.
It's not covered for 4 minutes now.
What do you guys think so far? Like, what are your thoughts? My demo abilities aside.
We're at 42 minutes and we had a problem.
It would have taken me 42 minutes to fix those first set of test class failures, you know?
It took me 6 hours building those user stories.
Yeah, so we're able to get a lot more done.
Are we using only the Salesforce MCP?
We're not even using the Salesforce MCP. We're doing it all through the CLI commands. They're about to kick off. So right now, the main orchestrator agent is figuring out the plan. So it's reading the code base, bringing itself up to speed. Did it fire? It should have fired by now.
So it takes about 6 minutes to watch you did this?
It took closer to like 4 for the agents to get fired off. It's still putting together its plan, yeah. Yeah, please, please, please.
That's okay, yeah. Let's just let him finish the thing.
Okay.
Thanks, so.
Actually, I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What if I have more than one project? Let's say I have my default project and I have installed unlocked package on the same org, and it's another folder.
Yeah.
Can I let AI know that he needs to check another project?
Yeah, so is it it's unmanaged, as in it's still in the same like force.app, or no, is it in its own folder, but within like the same project here?
No, I mean if it's another project folder, so you have, I don't know.
Oh, another
two
project
projects
folder?
like this. Yeah. You have dependency on the code in another project. It's an installed package.
Good question. What I've done before is I've had Git submodules for that. So I add whatever other project I have as a submodule here. That way I can manage it within just one Claude session. I haven't ever tried to coordinate Claude sessions against different repos though, without taking that Git submodule approach.
Because I tried work on this project before and it was always a little bit stupid. He didn't understand all these relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, what if you have not one project but two or more projects? Let's say you have few packages installed and they can be dependent on each other. And how to let AI know that they need to check the context?
So what's a little frustrating right now is that it launched these agents sequentially. It didn't actually create that agent team. It's still doing these tasks in parallel.
So it's still doing them, but it isn't.
Yeah, it's doing them in parallel. It didn't actually spawn and this is an experimental feature by Claude, so I'm fully expecting that there's some bugs. Like you literally have to turn on, this Claude Code experimental feature, which I did, but it didn't do what I wanted it to do, so that's okay. But you guys get the idea. What it did here is it spinned off a Salesforce admin agent, spinned off a Salesforce developer Apex one, code reviewer, security reviewer. It identified different tasks and their dependencies. So it's saying that the code reviewer is blocked by these first three tasks. Same with the security reviewer. These are running, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, I will post a more polished version of this on my YouTube channel. So if you guys are interested, follow me on LinkedIn. It's like Camp Apex videos. So I'll get a more polished version of this uploaded. So add me on LinkedIn or follow me on YouTube, and I'll kind of post a more polished demo of that. But cool, that's all I wanted to show. Do you guys have any other questions? Thank you, guys. Sorry, thank you, guys. Thank you.
It was great effort in 45 minutes of you being told, hey, we need to build this.
Yeah, and hey, man, it created 46 files. And yeah, exactly. It took my job.
Oh, thank you guys. Sorry, we were running along there.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate it. Please feel free to mill around and talk as much as you want. I'm sorry for making everybody shush on the call because we're trying to keep the virtual audience in there too. So.
Any last minute questions online? Thank you guys for joining. And
of what? We had 33.
And just to repeat it, Sally is having a beginner like intro to Claude session on March 31st. So if you're not following Code with Sally on YouTube, definitely do that, or on LinkedIn. And make sure to check out her guest speaker as well. Thank you, guys. Hey, how are you?
My name is Raj.
Raj, nice